Christie said nothing and still got blamed. When she speaks up, she's too much. When she stays silent, she's called selfish. So what is a mother supposed to do? This was not just drama, it was a battle of trust between a mother and daughter. Think Jackie did the wrong thing? Think again. Let's break down the truth they're not telling you. Hold on. I am Jackie Marie Christie, Christie's wife, and yes, I am a boss. I run businesses. I have companies. None of that changes just because of where I am or who I am around. I carry myself like a boss. Always. Beautiful, strong, and unshaken. And still, even without throwing drinks, yelling, or rolling my eyes, I somehow ended up as the villain in all this drama. Before we start blaming Jackie for everything that went down, it is important to take a step back and understand how this whole situation really started. Things did not just blow up out of nowhere, there was tension building for a while. And it all began with how Brandy was treating Ming. From the outside looking in, Brandy's behavior may have seemed subtle, but if you were paying attention, it was hard to miss. Brandy was being distant, barely acknowledging Ming, and giving her cold, sharp glances that clearly showed something was off. She was not saying anything directly, but her energy told a different story. It was uncomfortable to watch. And Chantal picked up on it right away. She saw how Brandy was acting and knew something was wrong. There was no warmth, no kindness, shade, silence, and tension that could be felt across the room. So Chantal spoke up. She told Brandy she was being disrespectful. And let's be honest, she was not the only one thinking it. A lot of people had already noticed Brandy's cold attitude. This was not the first time Brandy had acted this way either. People had been talking about her behavior for a while, saying it was rude and unnecessary. So when Chantal said something, she was really just voicing what others were too afraid or too polite to say out loud. But here is where things got tricky. Even though Chantal's words made sense, she was not directly involved in the issue between Brandy and Ming. Ming had not asked for help, and Chantal was not personally targeted. That made people split on how they saw it. Some viewers appreciated her courage. They felt she was doing the right thing by standing up for someone who seemed to be getting iced out for no reason. They saw it as a friend stepping in when someone else was being mistreated. On the other hand, some thought Chantal should have stayed out of it. They believed she inserted herself into something that had nothing to do with her and stirred the pot unnecessarily. According to them, it was not her place to jump in, especially when emotions were already high and the tension was thick. To those people, Chantal's comments added fuel to the fire instead of cooling things down. But even with the debate over whether Chantal should have said anything, one thing is clear: Brandy's behavior toward Ming was uncomfortable and hard to ignore. The cold glances, the body language, and the silent treatment were not coming from a place of misunderstanding, they seemed intentional. Brandy was clearly sending a message, even if she never said the words out loud. And Chantal picked up on that message loud and clear. That moment, where Chantal confronted Brandy, became the spark that lit the fire. Brandy did not take the comment lightly. She clapped back fast and hard, and suddenly, the focus shifted. It was no longer about Brandy and Ming. Now it was all about Chantal and Brandy. Their back and forth quickly turned personal, with Brandy questioning Chantal's motives, maturity, and place in the conversation. It was almost like Brandy had been holding something in and just needed an excuse to let it out. Chantal's comment gave her that excuse. Her tone changed, her face tightened, and her responses came fast and sharp. You could tell she had something to get off her chest and she was going to make sure Chantal heard it. But here is the interesting part. Even though the situation became about Chantal, what she said was not wrong. She was simply calling out behavior that many people had noticed but kept quiet about. Brandy's energy did not match the room. She tried to play it cool or funny, but her cold attitude did not sit right with anyone. And Chantal, even though she was not in the middle of it, felt the need to speak up. So was Chantal out of line? Or was she just being honest? Was she being dramatic? Or was she being brave? That is where the opinions started to split even more. It depends on how you see it. Some say she should have stayed quiet to avoid getting dragged into drama. Others say she did the right thing, because staying silent while someone gets treated badly is not being neutral, it is being part of the problem. This also set the stage for everything that followed. Once Brandy and Chantal were locked in, the mood shifted. Ming faded into the background, and the spotlight was now on this new conflict. Their disagreement was no longer just about defending someone, it had turned into something deeper. Personal feelings, past grudges, and unspoken tensions were all coming to the surface. And while all of this was happening, Jackie was right there, watching it unfold. She did not speak. She did not jump in. She just listened and let her daughter stand on her own. But that silence meant to be a show of respect ended up turning into another reason people criticized her. The drama might have started with a simple observation, but it exploded into something much bigger. And now, everyone is left trying to decide who was right, who was wrong, and whether silence is really golden or just another way to avoid getting blamed. Then things got loud. That's what you want, right, Jackie? Go ahead. I am done with you. Goodbye. I will not deal with trash like you. Garbage, that is what you are. The insults kept coming fast. I bet you it ain't too or garbage. Walk away, you fat idiot. That kind of talk made everything worse. But again, was it even her place to go that far? To be fair, Brandy's actions were not surprising. She had a reputation for being shady, giving fake compliments, ignoring people she did not care for, and sticking close to whoever gave her the most power in the moment, which now meant Evelyn and Jennifer. Chantal did not hold back either. She said Brandy's attitude was worn out, and her friendships looked more like a performance than something genuine. That is when things went from just a little shady to deeply personal. Brandy fired back, not just to defend herself, but to hit where it hurt. She went after Chantal's character, questioned her reasons for speaking up, and made it seem like Chantal had no place in the conversation at all. Suddenly, it was no longer about Ming. Now, it had turned into a direct face-off between Chantal and Brandy. The tension grew as their voices changed, their faces tightened, and their words turned sharp. It was obvious Brandy had been holding something in, and this moment gave her the chance to finally let it all out. But here is the thing, even if Chantal jumped in, she was not exactly wrong. Brandy was trying to act funny, but her vibe just did not match the situation. So, was Chantal really being out of line? Or was she just saying out loud what everyone else was thinking but too scared to say? Chantal later admitted, "I am under a lot of stress." She said many women are struggling with things in silence, and she did not mean to hurt anyone. Now, this is where Jackie Christie steps into the story, but not in the way you might expect. Jackie was sitting there the whole time while Chantal and Brandy argued. She saw the shade being thrown, heard the sarcastic replies, and watched her daughter speak for herself. And for once, Jackie said absolutely nothing. That silence, it meant a lot. This is the same Jackie who is known for jumping into situations, especially if it involves her daughter. Normally, she would have spoken up, defended Chantal, or even caused a scene to protect her. But this time, Jackie stayed quiet, and that silence spoke louder than any words could. At one point, Jackie gently said, "Brandy, I have never disrespected you. I like you. So why are we doing this? You said you wanted an apology and wanted me to talk to you with respect." Her voice was calm, but fans were split. Some people looked at Jackie's silence during the argument between Brandy and Chantal as a turning point. To them, it seemed like Jackie was finally doing something differential, was letting Chantal handle her own problems. Instead of stepping in and taking over like she had so many times in the past, Jackie stood back and allowed her daughter to speak for herself. It felt like growth. One viewer even tweeted, "Jackie actually let Chantal stand up for herself. Maybe she's changing." For fans who had followed Jackie's long journey on the show, this felt like a big deal. Jackie has always had a reputation for jumping into drama, especially when it involved her daughter. She was known for going too far, saying too much, or turning small issues into full-blown scenes. So, when she stayed quiet this time, it surprised people. To some, it was refreshing. Maybe, just maybe, Jackie was learning that being a good mom did not always mean being loud or taking control. But not everyone agreed with that view. While some saw her silence as personal growth, others thought it came from a selfish place. The critics were loud and clear. They said Jackie did not stay quiet to give Chantal space, she stayed quiet because it suited her image. According to them, Jackie only steps in when it helps her look good on camera. One user tweeted, "Jackie only shows up when it makes her look like Mother of the Year. When Chantal really needed her, she stayed quiet. That silence was selfish." These kinds of comments are nothing new for Jackie. For years, she has been caught in a no-win situation. When she gets involved, people say she is too much. When she backs off, people say she is not supportive. No matter what she does, someone finds a reason to criticize her. And in this case, her decision to do what many fans have asked for, to step back and let her daughter be independent, still got twisted into something negative. Some even accused Jackie of playing the long game. They claimed that her silence was strategic, not sincere. The idea was that Jackie chose not to speak because this particular situation did not center her. It did not help her storyline or give her a big moment. And so, they said, she stayed out of it not to help Chantal, but to protect her own brand. To these critics, Jackie's behavior is always tied to how she looks on screen. But is that fair? This moment revealed something deeper about how Jackie is treated on the show. Other women have pulled back during fights. Other cast members have avoided stepping in when things got heated. And yet, they rarely get called selfish or fake for doing so. Jackie, on the other hand, is constantly under a microscope. Whether she speaks or stays silent, she ends up being judged the hardest. She is held to a higher standard, one that even the most dramatic women on the show are not expected to meet. People often forget that Jackie is still a mother, and like most moms, she has had to figure out when to hold on and when to let go. It has not been easy for her, especially with a daughter like Chantal, who is strong-willed and very clear about what she wants. Chantal has told her mom more than once, "I want to handle things on my own. I don't need you stepping in and making it worse." Jackie heard that message loud and clear, so when she stayed quiet during the Brandy situation, it seemed like she was trying to respect Chantal's boundaries. She was trying not to take over. She was doing what her daughter asked her to do, but instead of being praised for respecting those wishes, she got called selfish. Suddenly, her silence was not seen as maturity, it was seen as a weakness, or, worse, as a calculated move. This puts Jackie in a very difficult position. If she steps in, she is accused of being overbearing. If she stays out, she is called cold or fake. She is stuck between two versions of herself, the fierce protector and the woman trying to grow. And whichever one she chooses, it seems like she loses. That is not to say Jackie has always gotten it right. There have been plenty of times when she was loud, messy, and too involved, but this time, she made a different choice. She trusted her daughter to handle the moment, and still, that trust was used against her. Critics painted her silence as disloyal, as if she abandoned her child in a moment of need. But no one asked if maybe, just maybe, this was what Chantal actually wanted. What is also worth noting is that Jackie's silence did not mean she was not paying attention. She was there, she heard the words, saw the tension, and felt the weight of the moment. But she chose to stay still, to watch instead of speak, to trust instead of take over. That kind of choice takes strength, not just for a mother, but for anyone used to being in control. In the end, Jackie's silence may not have been perfect, but it was a step in a new direction. A quiet act that said, "I believe in you. I will not fight your battles for you this time." Whether people accept that or not, it showed a side of Jackie that many are not used to seeing, one that is learning, evolving, and trying to do better. Maybe she did not get it all right. But maybe she is not the villain here either. Some even called her disloyal, claiming she cared more about her public image than protecting her daughter in the moment. But if you think about it, Jackie has been called messy, overbearing, and dramatic for years. Maybe this was her way of showing that she can back off and stop trying to control everything. Maybe, just maybe, her silence was growth. Maybe Jackie stayed silent because she truly believed that this time, staying out of it would help her avoid being pulled into the drama. She might have thought that letting Chantal speak for herself would show that her daughter was strong, mature, and more than capable of handling her own issues, and honestly, that makes sense, especially when you consider the history between them. Jackie has heard it all before. Chantal has told her, on more than one occasion, to back off. She has asked her mom not to jump in every time something goes wrong, not to get overly emotional, and definitely not to make a public scene. Chantal did not want to be embarrassed or have her mother make things worse. She wanted space, plain and simple. So now, when Jackie finally gives her that space and chooses not to interfere, it is strange to see people blaming her for doing exactly what she was told to do. That is where it gets confusing. Jackie followed the boundary her daughter set. She did not interrupt. She did not yell. She did not take over. She stepped aside. Yet somehow, that decision still sparked anger, especially from Chantal. Suddenly, it is as if Jackie did something wrong by not stepping in. Chantal is acting like her mom let her down, even though she was the one who asked Jackie to step back in the first place. And when it comes to the deeper emotional damage within the family, Chantal is not even addressing it directly. Instead of admitting how her own words and actions have affected Jackie and her sister, Chantal makes comments that only add more tension. One moment that stood out was when she said, "I have to keep talking to you so you do not blast me on social media." That statement alone reveals how complicated their relationship really is. It shows that Chantal might be more concerned with controlling the narrative than with healing the actual relationship, rather than acknowledging how her mom may have been her tour, appreciating her attempt to respect her wishes. Chantal is focused on preventing public fallout. She does not want Jackie to speak out online, but at the same time, she is not fully open to having a real, honest conversation about what went wrong. This moment highlights the promotional tug-of-war between a mother trying to evolve and a daughter who is still trying to figure out what kind of support she really wants. Jackie's silence was not cold, it was intentional. It came from a place of love, of growth, of trying to honor her daughter's independence. But in the end, she still got blamed. And that is what makes this situation so painful and so unfair. This makes Chantal's reaction seem a little too convenient. If you have watched Basketball Wives for a while, you probably remember how things went down between Chantal and Drea. That relationship was falling apart. And Jackie, being Jackie, jumped in to protect her daughter. She showed up loud, emotional, and ready to defend. But back then, Chantal told her mom to back off. She said Jackie was making things worse and making her look bad. She wanted to deal with it herself. Jackie listened, maybe not happily, but she got the message loud and clear. Fast forward to now, Chantal and Brandy are in a heated argument. Jackie does what her daughter once asked. She stays out of it. But suddenly, people say she is being a bad mom. It is like Jackie is being held to a rule that keeps changing. When she is loud, she is too much. When she is quiet, she is not supportive. This is the problem fans started to notice. Chantal seems to want Jackie to be silent when she wants to appear strong, but loud when she wants backup. Jackie gets called overprotective when she steps in and uncaring when she does not. So which one is it? Some say Jackie is being used as a shield, someone to hide behind when things get too hard but pushed away. When everything is going well, Jackie is not someone who does things halfway. She is either all in or completely out. And now, she is being blamed for respecting boundaries that were set by her own daughter. It makes people wonder, does Chantal want freedom? Or does she just want control over how she is seen? Remember when Chantal said, "I got this place in the same building so you can keep an eye on things when I am busy with the kids. But do not micromanage. Don't come knocking at night." And Jackie replied, "What? I do not even get a key." Chantal's message keeps changing, but Jackie's behavior has not. She has stayed the same, doing her job on the show and carrying the same weight she always has. Right now, it is happening again. Jackie tried something different. She did not take over the moment. She let Chantal handle it, but even that opened her up to more criticism. People are now saying she is not supportive enough, as if just being on the show means she has to stir the pot every single time. The truth is, Jackie is stuck. People expect her to stay the same, forever. And when she tries to grow or change, they call her fake. This is what we call the Jackie Christie problem. She is always expected to do more, fix more, and be more, and then she gets mocked for it. And it is not just fans. The cast treats her the same way. They question her every move, twist her words, and label her in ways no one else gets labeled. The pressure on Jackie is heavy. Now take a step back and look at Brandy. She is not innocent either. She has a history. On the show, starting drama, throwing shade, then acting surprised when things explode. That cycle keeps repeating. She had a huge fallout with Malaysia. She made fun of Evelyn. And now, with Chantal, it looks like more of the same. When Chantal called her out for being rude to Ming, Brandy did not just defend herself, she flipped the whole mood. Her voice changed, her clapbacks got sharper, and her energy turned personal. It felt like she had been waiting for this moment. And it was never just about Ming. Brandy came for Chantal in a way that felt planned, like she had been holding something in. That is when things got manipulative. Brandy knows Jackie. She knows how she usually reacts, especially when it comes to Chantal. So when Jackie stayed quiet, Brandy used it as a weapon. She turned Jackie's silence into an attack. Even your mom won't back you. That is not just shade. That is strategy. Brandy flipped the script, turning something people used to criticize Jackie for always speaking up into a new reason to blame her for staying silent. She played the moment perfectly, and it worked. Now the whole thing is a mess. And somehow, Jackie is once again carrying all the blame, so here is the question. Did Jackie really do the wrong thing by staying out of it? Or did she finally do what her daughter asked and still got dragged for it? What do you think? Share your thoughts in the comments.